Welcome to the Right Academy. I'm Matthew R. Miller. So I made a video a few days ago about settings that are archetypes in literature. And someone commented that they would like examples of these, and I appreciate that. I guess the one benefit of having a small channel that's just starting up is you can reply to every comment and respond to it. So I made this video. So what I'm doing for each of the setting archetypes, I am going to list a couple of books that I think do it well, and I'll talk about one of those books. So just quickly, remember a setting archetype is a place, a setting in a book in storytelling that we keep seeing over and over in literature throughout human history. Archetypes are those patterns we see in storytelling that seem to come from the way the human mind thinks or works. So let's talk about these. The first one I said is mazes, books that take place in mazes. Mazes, remember, can represent confusion, frustration, problem solving. So I think of The Maze Runner. Think of House of Leaves. Now, if you're not familiar with House of Leaves, it's a house. It's a house that constantly changes. It's a very disorienting book, but it's a great book, and the house is a maze. So remember I said when I say maze or forest, it doesn't have to literally be that place. It has to be a place like that. So House of Leaves, and then The Name of the Rose. And I'm not going to list the authors of all these books because I have so many books it would take longer to list and type out the authors. But they're all easy to find. They're all pretty popular books. Next one, forests, okay? So nature, humans versus nature, that's kind of the theme there. You have In a Dark, Dark Wood, The Lord of the Rings, really the whole series, and the Hobbit, and then Through the Woods. So I'll mention The Lord of the Rings. Several parts of that series, which is really a 4-part series, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings 3, takes place in forests, right? And even when it's not literally a forest, it's still forest-like the wilderness. Okay? Deserts, I think of Dune, of course, that's an obvious one. The English Patient, and The Alchemist. And, Dune, the idea, the book has to do with society. I mean, it has to do with a lot of stuff, but a society where resources are precious. And so the desert represents the dried up resources and kind of what humanity has done to itself. Caves, we have The Clan of the Cave Bear, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and The Descent. Now, The Descent you may know as a horror film, which is really good, but it's based on a book. And caves represent going down, facing demons, facing darkness, and coming back up reborn. So I think The Descent is a great example of that because the characters face not only their own inner demons, but actual monsters, right? The Castle, book setting castles. Well, I think of Dracula, like I mentioned last time, my favorite one. The castle to Dracula is a symbol of isolation from nature and from humanity. The Harry Potter series set at Hogwarts, where the castle is an example of protection. Also, The Girl in the Castle, and then lots of fairy tales, lots of classic fairy tales take place in castles. What about books that take place in the ocean? The ocean is vast and wide and deep, kind of represents humanity's subconscious. Jaws, yes, the famous movie was a book before it was a movie. The Ocean at the End of the Lane, The Light Between Oceans. I think about Jaws. One of the reasons that movie and book scared so many people was because of that. Because, if you've ever been out swimming in the ocean, man, you don't know what's underneath you. It goes down so far and so deep, and any kind of horrible creature could be swimming around just under you, waiting to, snatch you up and bite you and eat you. So that's one of the reasons the ocean can be a scary theme, good for horror. Books that take place on islands. Islands represent isolation from society and civilization. The Lord of the Flies, where the kids just break down into savages. Treasure Island and Robinson Crusoe. All three of those books deal with humanity, civilized people, who are cast into islands and have to try to deal with their savage nature. And I mentioned before, I think that humans, we're all part animal and we're all part something maybe a little higher, but we still have to deal with both aspects of that. Books set in cities. There is Middlemarch. There is, of course, A Tale of Two Cities, which is one of my favorite books. There is Notre Dame de Paris, which in English is called The Hunchback of Notre Dame. You might know that one, right? Quasimodo. That's set in Paris. And in fact, it was written to save the Cathedral of Notre Dame when it was thinking about being destroyed by the Revolution. Books that take place in mountains. Into the Wild, famous. Prodigal Summer, When These Mountains Burn. Think about Into the Wild. You have man versus nature. Man, I mean humankind versus nature. And mountains represent more than just nature. They represent that great struggle to overcome some huge challenge. Books set in ruins. The Two Towers, which is the second book of the Lord of the Rings series. I Am Legend, City of Ember. Think of I Am Legend, which is a book by Richard Matheson and was made into at least one film with Will Smith, maybe an earlier film too about it, but it's kind of a horror story. There's a man who is the last normal human remaining on Earth, and Earth is populated with these kind of vampire-like creatures who are stalking him. And you have like the lost civilization, the folly of humanity. We think we're so great, but nature reclaims our cities very quickly, right? Into ruins. Books set in gardens. The Forgotten Garden, The Secret Garden, The Moonlight Gardening Club. Gardens represent respite from the world where characters can grow like the plants. And so The Secret Garden is it's a book that I read it when I was young. I think I mentioned in the other video, it's just enchanting, you know? It's just like, I don't know, it's magical. You should, if you've never read The Secret Garden, you really should. Books set in tunnels. Inferno, Lost Temple, and one of my favorites, Neverwhere, which is by, I believe, Neil Gaiman. And so Neverwhere, it's set technically in a space, a kind of liminal space beneath London, in a kind of fantastical world, but in a sense it is tunnels. Now, if you haven't read the book, read it and you'll see that they may not be tunnels, but they really are in a very figurative and in a semi-real sense. And tunnels represent, you know, going down into the other world and seeing things from another point of view. And then books set in outer space, 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Martian, Project Hail Mary. I'm a big fan of Ray Bradbury, science fiction writer, and his book, The Martian Chronicles, while technically is set on Mars and not, you know, out in a spaceship, it does have this weird kind of otherworldly quality, this uncanny series of stories about these Martian astronauts who meet these creatures and people living on Mars, and it represents the vastness of the human mind and the human experience. So I hope that helps. Those are some examples of books set in those settings, setting archetypes. If you ever have a question or a comment about the videos, make it, and I'll make a video about it. I enjoy this very much, and I hope it helps. I wanted to mention too briefly, if you go to this YouTube channel's main page, Right Academy, then you'll see that it says links. One of the links is to my Patreon, where you can, for a very small monthly fee, get original short stories, horror short stories written by me, delivered right to your inbox on a regular basis. The different frequencies and different prices are available. Also, if you take a look at the other link there, it's a link to my books, the books I've written, and I would really be honored if you check them out, give them a try. I write horror and horror comedy, and I have 9 out so far and many more to come. They're all just in the editing pipeline. I'm a really fast writer. I write a novel in about 2 or 3 months, and then the revision process takes a little while, but I only have one editor. She's great, but one human can only do so much. So I have like 20 novels waiting to be published. So check that out. And this is the Right Academy. Please tell your friends about it. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Matthew R. Miller.